Hello, and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today, I'll be showing you how to cycle from Highbury and Islington Station in North London to Seven Sisters. This ride takes about 25 minutes, and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. If you find this video useful, or you just enjoy watching it, then please make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, as I try to post new ones like it every week. Alright, let's go! So we're starting on the cycle track outside Highbury and Islington Station. Wait for the lights and use the cycle crossing to go up onto Highbury Place, which runs next to Highbury Fields. This street has actually been filtered. You can see there's a no through traffic sign on here, so there's no traffic on it really. What we want to do eventually is turn left onto Queen's Walk, which runs across Highbury Fields. So I've just come up here onto the path to make use of the dropped curb, so I don't have to dismount to get up onto the path. This section of the route is shared with pedestrians, so make sure you go very slowly and give everybody a wide berth. You can see on the left there's a blue shared space sign which indicates that you're allowed to cycle on this path. Highbury Fields used to be owned by the Knights Hospitalier, which was a crusading order of knights, and it remained so until it was confiscated by Henry VIII. And during the Great Fire of London, the space was used as an encampment for people who had lost their homes. Now, when you get to the end of this path, you'll see that it's not particularly well done. It could do with a better drop curb, and make sure you look out when you cross that road, as there is a bit of a blind corner. But you want to head onto this crescent here. This road and the other residential streets around it are part of the Highbury low traffic neighbourhood, which was introduced by Islington Council. As a result, there is no through traffic on these streets, and they are very quiet and pleasant to cycle on. You can see these bollards that we're just about to cycle through here. Those are one of the mechanisms used for keeping the streets very, very quiet. Now, we come out onto the end of the residential street here, and we're actually going to join a really nice roundabout here. You can see this is done with protected lanes and cycle zebra crossings. My usual warning, be really careful when using those zebra crossings. You do technically have priority and right of way over cars, but they do not all know that, so be careful. You might notice that we are cycling in a really attractive protected cycle lane here. These are really, really good, and I'm really pleased with them. Funnily enough, we're actually still in a low traffic neighbourhood, so if you look at the volumes of traffic on the main carriageway, they are it would also be fine to cycle on as well. But you know, it's nice to have both. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And ideally, we'd have cycle tracks like this on all the main roads, and then the residential streets would be filtered and have no through traffic on them, and you'd be able to get wherever you wanted to by bike without really having to worry about anything at all. The cycle lanes don't continue for quite as long on the other side of the road. You can see that there isn't one there, and also they've just run out on this side of the road, so it is just as well that this area is an LTM, because we do have to cycle on the main carriageway as well. But as you can see here, it's fine. There's a funny thing coming up here. You can see this corner here. It's got like sort of F1 style crash barriers and an extremely high curb. Presumably when this street had a lot of traffic on it, that was a problem with cars doing that corner at speed and presumably crashing into the houses. That isn't going to be an issue anymore, so maybe that design could be revised. You can see here we're going through a lot of filters here. Those signs that we went through were no motor traffic allowed, but they do allow us to go. What we're actually doing here now is we are following a Transport for London signposted route. It's called Cycleway 38 or C38, and it's going to take us as far as Finsbury Park. It's a combination of protected lanes and also backstreet routes like this on filtered roads, and it's generally pretty high quality, certainly for this section of it. You can see those little bright lime green signs on the poles, and also there are symbols painted on the road that you can follow, so that should help you with this section of the route wayfinding, because it is a little bit there's a lot of different ways you can go. And yeah, you can see there's another sign on the left there. Now we wait at these traffic signals, which are especially for cycles, and we cross Blackstock Road, if that helps you get your bearing, and then immediately turn left into Finsbury Park Road. Now, there's a bit of building work up ahead. I don't know if this is still there. It's been there for maybe about a year. It's taking a really long time. It's Thames Waterworks. Fortunately, when I got here, there was a little gap left that you could cycle past on the carriageway. but sometimes they don't leave a gap and you'll have to dismount. Now, these traffic lights coming up are actually triggered by a motion detector, and you need to stand far forward, like where I am here, for that trigger to actually work. I was actually standing there for a good 2 minutes well behind the line, and they did not trigger, and then as soon as I went forward, they did. But when the lights do trigger, it gives you a nice clear run into Finsbury Park, and we're going to cycle through Finsbury Park, which is nice. There's no traffic in it. It has a nice, really broad road slash path with, it's a great place to cycle. And crucially, unlike a lot of other parks of its size and importance in London, it is not locked at night. So this is actually a 24-hour route, which is good. I do try to make those. I do try to make the routes on this channel 24 hours wherever possible, because otherwise, what's the point? Those of you who know London's transport system well might have twigged that this cycle journey is actually a ride between two Victoria Line stations, Highbury and Islington and Seven Sisters, and those of you who know it even better might have noticed that it only takes 7 minutes to get the Victoria Line from Highbury and Islington to Seven Sisters. So cycling this route is not the fastest way to do it. The Victoria Line is amazing and extremely quick. However, maybe you still want to cycle it. You can see it's a pretty nice ride, and also maybe this route is, maybe this section of the route that I'm doing is going to be part of a longer commute, and maybe you're not necessarily going straight from one tube station to the other. So I do think this is still a useful route, and also, cycling is actually nicer than getting on the tube, so why wouldn't you do it instead? If you do need to download a map of this route, then there is a link in the description of the video to a website called Komoot, and you can download, you can see a map and you can download a GPX file for your app or your device, whatever you use. Now, we turn right on this path here. It's make sure you check on the map to see which path you go down, and you come out here onto Green Lanes Road. Now, you go out onto the street here, and it looks like for a second like we're going to be cycling on the carriageway, but they've actually recently put in some reasonably protected, light segregated cycle lanes, and we're only on them for a bit. We go up onto this green cycle track here, and we wait at the Toucan crossing, which is a crossing which has which allows you to cross the road onto Hermitage Road. Now, Hermitage Road, this side of Hermitage Road, is a great place to cycle. It has a filter a bit further down, which means that there's no through traffic on this section of the road. And you can see here, absolutely lovely, and it's a great cut through for going towards Tottenham and Seven Sisters, which is the way that we are going. It's certainly a lot nicer than cycling on the Haringey section of Green Lanes, which has essentially no cycle facilities whatsoever. This is generally quite a good way to go, I think. The only thing I would say is that once you get past this filter, it is okay for a little bit longer, but then there is another road on the right called Vale Road, and that road actually has an industrial estate on it, and you can that's Vale Road on the right there, and you can immediately see the difference. The traffic levels on the road immediately picks up, and there's quite a lot of vans. There we go, as if by magic. There's quite a lot of vans and stuff going to things on that road, and that's so this section of the road is not nice, and this is probably the slightly busier, less pleasant part of the route, but it's only a short one. I think it's interesting though, because it does illustrate really well the difference that filtering a road can make. It's not just some theoretical difference. Immediately, as soon as you go somewhere where there's through traffic, you immediately see higher traffic levels. Be really careful on this roundabout, and just go through this cut through here onto North Grove, and again we are now again on a filtered street, so you shouldn't run into very much through traffic. This should be an alright place to cycle. Haringey Council actually has a plan to introduce a low traffic neighbourhood in this area called St Anne's LTN, and I really hope they do it, because it will really open up a lot of new routes in this area. At the moment it's okay, you can see there's not really much traffic, but if you stray a bit from the route we're taking, it can be a bit more difficult, so it requires quite a bit of planning, and St Anne's LTN will definitely make things a lot nicer if that happens. Haringey is talked quite a lot of talk. They have yet to actually really introduce very much in the way of useful stuff for cycling. So I really hope that does happen, as they do style themselves as a radical council, and they've done very little, I think, so far on cycling. So fingers crossed that that does actually happen in the future. For now though, we are following these streets. We're on Roslyn Road, and there isn't a signposted cycle route that we're following here. This is really a route of my own invention, connecting up streets with some filters on them. So it is definitely worth, if you can't memorise your way around this place, it's a bit of a maze. It's definitely worth downloading the map just to keep an idea, and also, of course, watching this video, you will hopefully be able to remember what some of the streets look like. Here's the filter that we're going through. That really makes a difference and really quietens down the road. You immediately turn right after it onto Greenfield Road, and then left immediately onto Birstall Road, which immediately banks right around the corner, and you can see a couple of other people on bikes have had the same idea of going this way. When you get to the end of Birstall Road, you will be faced with quite a nasty busy road which needs cycle tracks, but for now we are going to use the bus lane, which does the job to get us to Seven Sisters Station, which is just here. So yeah, thanks very much for watching this, guys. We've got there. I think this is quite a useful route, and yeah, if you enjoyed this, you found it useful, do make sure you hit the subscribe button on the channel. It'll help you see more videos. If you've got any requests, maybe you'd like to see this route extended further north, further south, to your home or place of employment, then let me know where you'd like me to extend it to, and I'll see what I can do. Or maybe a completely different route that you're struggling with and you want some ideas of how to do it. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and see you again next time.